Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast, the official podcast, filmpulse.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 175. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, I have Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing there, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
So this week we'll be reviewing Christian Petzold's Phoenix, as well as Keith Miller's 5-Star. Of course, we'll be going over some of what we've been watching, this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, DVD and Blu-ray releases. Remember, you can send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can also send us your comments. We got an email this week from JD, so shout outs to JD for suggesting. He suggested 2 short horror films to us that are available on YouTube and IMDb. I'll throw links to those in the show notes. I checked them both out. They're like just little 5-minute shorts that he thought we might like, and both of them are pretty good. So I'll throw those in the show notes. Thank you again to JD. If you have any comments or questions for us, let us know. Podcast@filmpulse.net. I would like to be able to do some sort of like Q&A section on the show. I think that'd be fun to answer cues from people and stuff.
Answer those cues.
Also on our Patreon, patreon.com/filmpulse. If you like the show, if you like what you hear, think about contributing. You can contribute as little as $1 per month. We got a new contributor this week, so shout out to Jerry Banfield for contributing to the Patreon.
Oh,
Make sure you check that out. Another bit of in-house news. We're looking for a new news person. So if you are a journalism student, or if you're just looking to pad out your resume, get some bylines in there, or if you just want to help out the site and help us grow, we're looking for someone who can do news articles for us, timely news articles, and we can give you all the details if you are interested. Just send me an email, adam@filmpulse.net, if you're interested, and let me know, and then we can kind of hash out the details. Again, that's adam@filmpulse.net. And we might have you do some review stuff as well, some interviews, maybe even some festival coverage here and there. But we're just looking for some more people because it's getting a bit overwhelming at the moment. So let's move on to our first review for the day.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about Phoenix, because that's the one I have up on my screen right now. This is written and directed by Christian Petzold. I have a synopsis here. A disfigured concentration camp survivor, unrecognizable after facial reconstruction surgery, searches ravaged post-war Berlin for the husband who might have betrayed her to the Nazis. This is currently playing in select cities. Is this? I don't think this is on VOD, is it? I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
No, this is just in select cities right now. So if you live in one of the major cities that's playing it, maybe check it out after we talk about it here. Maybe not, depending on how this goes. Now, you're going to be working on a review. You're actually reviewing both of these movies that we're talking about today. So
that's correct.
Why don't you go ahead and you start it with Phoenix, and then I'll start it with 5-Star.
Okay, Phoenix. All right. Pretty solid little movie. I mean, I heard really good things going into this.
A lot of raving going into this movie. A lot of raving.
So expectations were a bit high. And I'm not 100% sure I'm seeing all of the raving.
Yeah, people are like, oh my God, the end, the last 5 minutes, I was floored, I was in tears and all this stuff. And I had a hard time feeling that way about the end.
Now, for me, the ending was without a doubt the highlight of the entire film.
I thought
absolutely, perfectly executed, realized everything was just perfect.
Yes.
I mean, the look on his face alone.
Priceless. Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
And they didn't draw it out either. They're like, bam,
Nope.
They hit you with it, credits. They didn't they did it just the right way.
It was pretty much perfect. But I got to say, everything leading up to that point was kind of lackluster.
Here's the big problem I had, and I find it hard to believe that now I haven't read reviews on this or anything, so maybe other people discuss this, but how in the hell does he not recognize her? I don't understand that. And that's a huge, major plot point. How does he not recognize her? I would know. Even if my significant other had facial reconstruction surgery, I would know that it's her. I would know her voice. I would know her mannerisms.
Well, that's the most interesting thing is it would be you would recognize the voice.
Absolutely. And I have a hard time believing that her face was so drastically different that it was completely unrecognizable. And other people recognized her. You know, granted, it was after she put on the makeup and changed her hair and stuff, but still, other people recognized her. And I just, that was the big hurdle for this movie, because I just couldn't believe that her husband of however many years had no idea that it was her.
He had no clue until that voice kicked in.
Even when he had her do the handwriting test and it was the exact same.
Well, that was, for me, that was the number one thing was like, okay, she sat down and did the shopping list. Like, just once.
Yeah.
Like, when he went out and checked, it was just once. She didn't do it like 37 times. She did it once, and it looked exactly the same.
And the signature, too.
And then they sat down, and he was like, write this out. She writes it out. It looks exactly the same. Okay, that's when your interest is piqued, okay? Well, you're starting to think like, oh, shit, this is probably my wife. But no, he's just like, oh, damn, this woman has the exact same handwriting as my wife and kind of looks like her. This is weird. This is going to work perfectly.
Yeah, for some reason, I couldn't get past that. And I know that it's for a lot of people, that's probably a little thing. And the entire movie hinges on him not realizing that it's her.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a problem with that when it came to the handwriting thing, but then I just kind of threw it out the window. It was like, okay, let's believe that he can't.
That he's that much of a fucking moron idiot.
He completely forgets what his wife looks like. Okay, I'm in. But, I mean, even from that point, I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Nina Hoss did a serviceable job as the main character, Nellie, but I'm assuming because of her experiences in the concentration camp, she's kind of broken. Like, she doesn't talk very much. She does a lot of just kind of staring into nothing.
And I mean, that's the only other interesting thing outside of the ending of this movie is just how it deals with identity and that, you know, she lost her identity and then she has the reconstruction surgery and she's trying to move on, but at the same time she wants to be like, when they ask her like, what face do you want? She's like, I want to look exactly the same. She just wants to go back to being exactly her. And then she starts to move on a little bit, but then she runs into her husband, and then she's slowly getting trained on being herself, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then, like, towards the end, you know, she finally moves on and becomes, you know, the new her, so to say.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all of that's interesting. Everything within that, I don't know. You know, the look of the film, the pacing of it, the cinematography of it, it's all, like you said, it's serviceable. You know, it's a solid film, but I just don't see where the ravings come from.
Yeah, same here. There wasn't, I didn't have, other than the one big issue, I didn't have much of a problem with anything else in this movie. I thought that it looked quite good. I like the idea of you're in this bombed out city that is, there's ruins everywhere. It's rubble. It's everything is falling apart. And then you have this like kind of oasis where there's this Phoenix, this nightclub where it's, you know, super bright and everybody's drinking and dancing. And I like that. I like that juxtaposition of this place that's like surrounded by, you know, ruins. And I like the backdrop of the nightclub. Could have done with more nightclub stuff, because
more nightclub.
Yeah, it felt that all that stuff kind of gave it almost a noir vibe to it, and the music too, of course. The music's
Yeah.
very
The-
noirish.
Now, I mean, this is really small, which I don't really hold it against the film, but the biggest issue I had was the off-camera English speaking,
Mm.
where you would hear like the GIs and stuff in the
Yeah,
background and like what they would say.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was so awful. It was just terrible. Which again, I'm not like, it's not big enough that I'm like, oh, I'm using that as a criticism against the film and I'll knock off points and stuff. No, it's just something that peeved me. Just every time I would hear English speaking, I was just like, Jesus.
The beginning of the film is in English, and I thought that the whole movie was going to be in English for a second, and I was like, I don't know about this, but then they switch.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
The English in this movie is not good.
It's not great. It is definitely not great.
Like when he almost hits Nina Haas and he's like, "Oh my God, I almost killed her." Just like,
Yeah.
oh,
I laughed so hard at that at that part.
like, are you kidding me? Like all the English speaking stuff, it's hilarious, unintentionally hilarious. Which, everything else that's going on is so unbelievably serious
Yeah.
and heartbreaking, and then everything in English is just a fucking joke.
While I was watching this, I leaned over to my girlfriend and I said, I could totally see this getting a foreign language Oscar nom. This is one that I could see easily getting that nod.
I mean, it's World War II, so.
Yeah. It's just after the Holocaust. We're dealing with a concentration camp survivor. Yeah.
And yeah, just that ending. I mean, oh boy.
I thought,
Oh boy.
I was thinking to myself, oh man, she just doesn't know what to do. Like, she doesn't know what to say to him, or maybe she's trying to see if he's going to figure it out on his own, or maybe she's setting him up. Maybe she's setting him up for some kind of big, disaster or something. And the way that it turned out, I thought was quite good. Even though I wanted to see him get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him because he's such a horrid person.
He truly is. Well, I think it's, and I mean, I think that's maybe one of the good points of this film is that throughout the entire thing, which, each instance of what she's doing in each development, you don't really know like what she's going for. It's always cloudy as what her aim is.
Right, yeah. We never really know what her motivations are.
Which ties into that identity thing where she's not exactly sure how to move forward from everything that happens to her with her new face and everything. And then it's just kind of like the perfect culmination of how she decides to do it and the way in which she does it. And just the look on his face when he finally comes to the realization that he stops playing his piano and just the absolute terror.
Yeah.
When her,
in his
like
head,
when her,
he's just thinking, I'm fucked, I'm so fucked.
he's like, Jesus Christ. I did not see that coming. And when her, her real voice finally kicks in,
Yeah.
that's what like triggers everything. And he's just like, oh shit.
Uh-oh. Oh boy, I'm in trouble.
I am fucked.
Yeah, other than that ending though, and everything was fine. It was to me it was just maybe slightly above average. I wasn't bored by anything that happened. I was pretty significantly intrigued, just like you said, to see where she was going with this whole thing. I wanted to see how this was all going to play out.
Oh yeah, it's a very intriguing narrative. There's no doubt about it, and it's handled quite well. But I just don't see it as anything special.
Yeah,
really,
like
if that's the word.
Probably a year from now, I won't remember anything about this except the end. That's probably how it'll be.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's a solid film.
It's solid. I think it's worth seeing for sure. But
again, I think it's one of those, with it being foreign. It seems like these foreign films have a tendency to get overhyped, and everyone raves about them and stuff. And I've been disappointed by a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree to that.
I just wish people had that same kind of excitement for American film.
So do I, especially
Because there's a lot of American films that are much better than these. There's, a number of American indies that came out that are much better than Phoenix.
yeah.
But what do you see that's being talked about this weekend? Phoenix. Phoenix everywhere. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's like Vertigo.
Well, yeah, I saw that comparison more than a few times. It's like Vertigo. I'm not seeing that.
I mean, I see like a hint of it. Just a hint because of what the story is. We have like someone's kind of standing in for someone else. In this sense, she's standing in for herself.
Yeah, but I don't know. Vertigo is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I just wasn't seeing
filmmaking wise, no, not even close. I mean, there's a couple of nice shots in here, but other than that, there's not much.
Yeah,
there's not much to hold on to and be like, this is Phoenix. This is why it's amazing.
I would say it's just pretty. It's pretty average. It's a pretty average, serviceable World War II movie that kind of. It's not your typical World War II movie. It's not your typical concentration camp, Holocaust movie either. It's in the aftermath of that, and it does kind of deal with what happens to the psyche of a survivor, in a concentration camp. But in her case, it seems like she's almost just in shock, perpetual shock the entire time. She just kind of floats.
Always shocked.
She's just floating through scenario after scenario.
The other thing that I didn't quite understand is, her friend, Lena, who's essentially trying to tell her what happened and how she ended up where she ended up and the truth about her husband, and she's not really hearing it. And then there's that last bit of information, of evidence that, proves of who he is.
Yeah, that's the bomb.
And it's like, why did you hold on to that for so, like, that should have been right out the gate.
Away.
Like, hey, look at this.
As soon as she's showing interest in finding her husband again, that's when you drop that bomb and say, look, I'm sorry, this is terrible. I'm sorry to do this to you and tell you this, but this is the truth. This is what happened. Yeah, you come out of the gate with that.
Yeah, that's.
You don't wait.
You have that like pinned to your shirt, the front of your person. Just walk around with it all the time, just so she knows. Maybe just bring it up like every 10 minutes.
Yeah, I also think
just be like, oh yeah, just kind of slide it in front of her.
I also think that she seems to move on pretty quickly after what happens with her friend too.
Yeah, that storyline.
It happens very suddenly, and you don't see that coming at all.
Yeah, that storyline kind of just fizzles out, and it did. And the way that it ended didn't really seem to quite have the impact maybe that they were hoping for.
Yeah,
or maybe they wanted it to fizzle. I don't know.
Maybe they wanted to just show us how desensitized to life she was or something. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Either way, that's Phoenix. Let's go ahead and give this a score. What are you gonna? I'm gonna give Phoenix.
I'm gonna give Phoenix. I say a 7. Give it a 7.
I'm also gonna give Phoenix a 7. It's playing a limited release right now, and I do recommend it. It is worth seeing, and apparently for a lot of people, it really hits a lot of emotional triggers. It just didn't really do that for me.
No, like I said, it's a solid film.
Yeah,
but also
good performances all around as well.
Yeah, which Nina Haas, she's always quite good, and I didn't know she could sing, which you find out. So apparently she can do everything.
There you go. That's Phoenix. Let's talk about our next movie, 5 Star. This is another one that is currently only playing in New York right now. It opened this weekend in New York. It is going to be opening next weekend in LA, and then it's going to be on VOD and iTunes on August 4th. So mark your calendars there. August 4th, 5-star will be available on VOD. Written and directed by Keith Miller. I have a synopsis here. A member of the Notorious Bloods since he was 12 years old, both in the film and in real life, Primo takes John, the son of his slain mentor, under his wing, versing him in the code of the streets. Set in East New York, 5-star blends documentary and fictional storytelling as director Keith Miller carefully avoids worn cliches of gang culture to offer a compelling portrait of two men forced to confront the question of what it really means to be a man. Now, you have a review for this up on the site right now, so if you want to read Kevin's review in detail, you can check it out at filmpulse.net. I will start it off, and I will say I like this a lot. I think that there is a growing trend in these kind of docudrama movies. You know, we've had Heaven Knows What earlier this year, which I loved and still is one of my top 5 favorite movies of the year. And as I was watching this movie, I kept thinking to myself, okay, so the main character of this movie, James Primo Grant, he's a non-actor. This is the first thing he's ever done. I think maybe he did a short film for Keith Miller previously.
Yeah.
But this is really his big breakout role. And he's the star of a feature-length film. And he does a fantastic job. And I see people like him who are non-actors doing these great roles that require a pretty decent amount of emotional depth to their characters, you know? And then I see a lot of these lower budget indies that we get sent on a weekly basis, and the acting is piss poor, awful. And I wonder, like, what is this? What is going on here? These people that claim to be actors that are just going through the motions and basically, you know, line reading, and then you see a movie like this, which is a low-budget indie with a non-actor starring in it, and he kills it.
He's unbelievable. I mean, now, granted, he's essentially playing himself.
He's playing himself,
like a version of himself, but wow.
Still.
Wow. Yeah. Primo Grant makes this movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's such an enigmatic character. You like him. You may not...
But,
go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that the film starts out, just this simple act of him telling you a story.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it just starts out where he's talking about how he went to prison and he missed, you know, the birth of his son. Just the way in which he tells it and the way he takes his time and he pauses, just everything is, I mean, it is unbelievably captivating.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot in movies when things feel natural. You know, that's always a thing that I feel like you and I always talk about when the interactions between characters or dialogue feels natural. And this movie did feel very natural. In fact, a lot of it looked and felt like a documentary. Just like Heaven Knows What. A lot of those scenes didn't feel like narrative, like a fictional film. It felt like an actual documentary, and that's how this movie is as well. And like the synopsis says, it does kind of go against the grain when it comes to these gang movies. You know, it's not your typical gang movie at all. I think that the director really goes out of his way to try to avoid those cliches.
Yeah, because for it being a gang movie, there's like one scene of violence.
Yeah, there's really not anything major. You know, you don't have any crazy drive-bys or anything like that. There's a lot of implied violence. There's a lot of talk of violence, but it's not. None of it really shows up on the screen. And I think that it feels to me, and obviously I'm not in gang culture or anything, but it feels to me like it is an accurate portrayal of probably how modern gang culture is.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that he would have, some some saying, the depiction of gang life with him being an actual, blood member
Still active, by the way.
since he was 12. 12, where he had to fight 7 guys
Yeah.
to get in.
I read an interview that said that he still identifies as being a member of the Bloods and that he is still plays a very active role in the group.
Yeah,
so.
which ends up giving this film this. We're talking about how we're looking for truth and authenticity in film. There's certain sequences in this where you wholeheartedly believe it because he's a Blood member.
Yeah.
When he cold cocks that guy and lays him
yeah.
out, and just you're like, he's done this before. This isn't the reason that this feels so real is because he's probably done this not more than once.
Yeah.
He's probably laid someone out and then continued to punch them while just saying it's just business
Yeah.
as he's beating someone.
Yep.
And then the same thing goes, when he has a gun pointed at his face.
And he's like,
It's just like, yeah, it's not the first time I have a gun pointed at my
He
face.
didn't even-
And you're like, yeah, it's probably like the 47th time.
yeah, he didn't even flinch once that gun was pulled on him.
He's smoking a blunt.
He's just
Like, who gives a shit?
he's like, whatever. I don't care.
It's just a gun.
Yeah.
This is a movie. This is in real. I've had this happen in real life.
So what did you think of the whole concept? Because a lot of what this movie's about is him kind of taking this young kid under his wing, sort of, who I guess in the film, this kid's dad was running with him in the Bloods, and they worked together and they did jobs together and all that, and then his dad gets killed by supposedly a stray bullet. And so he sort of takes this kid under his wing after he approaches him and says he shows some interest, and what did you think of that whole dynamic?
I thought it was fine enough. I think everything outside of that was far more interesting.
Well, I think the reason for that is because they didn't do a whole lot with it. There's really, I mean, they had a few interactions, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to send you to pick up a package or something," and he does one, and then I think he does another. Does he do? Was that the second one where something happened?
Yeah.
It was like the first or second time that he had him deliver a package where something occurs, and that was really like the biggest thing that happened with that whole plot
storyline.
Yeah. I feel like they could have done more with that. If he's supposed to be mentoring this kid, and this kid seems to be conflicted about the life, the path that he wants to choose, but they don't really get into that too much either.
No, and then you have at the same time where he's, the character of John is not really entirely sure whether he wants to get into it, and you always kind of sense that he's not really ready for it. He doesn't seem mature enough for it. He just kind of acts like, I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
This is my new hobby.
Well, he said that's kind of when he had that first meeting when he went over to Primo's house, and he was like, I just want to make some extra money. And he's like, well, if you want some extra money, get a job, work at Mickey D's.
Yeah. And then, while at the same time that this is happening with John, whether or not he wants to get into it, which is kind of odd because he's already in it at that point in time.
Yeah.
So you should have thought about that a little bit beforehand. But, at the same time that's going on, you have Primo, who's kind of coming to the realization that maybe this isn't the way that he should continue moving forward. That he should get out and, he starts looking for more legit work.
Yeah, he's distancing himself from the life, and he starts working as a bouncer and doing security work for G Unit. Wonder if that
Tony Yeo.
Wonder if that happened. Probably did.
Probably. You get the sense that everything happened.
Yeah. Yep.
And I thought any time that it was focused on Primo, where he was the center, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean,
it should have just been Primo.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to add this John plot line. You didn't need it. You just need Primo.
And from what I read, originally, it was more about the John Primo relationship and that whole dynamic. But then once they got Primo, it wasn't even originally about gangs at all. There was no references to gangs or anything like that in it. And once Primo came in, he just kind of took it over and made it his own, like just naturally.
And I would imagine that you wouldn't stop him from doing that.
No.
It's like, we should make this about gang coach. Yes, Primo. Yeah.
Whatever you want. Hey, this is your show. You do whatever you want.
Give you everything that you want. Which is, thank goodness that it went that route. Because I thought, like I said, everything with him is fantastic. Even the moments which, is just the most interesting thing of this. Like you said, it kind of avoids the cliches of, what you think going into what this gang movie's going to be like. I mean, half the time you're just spent with Primo just hanging out at home.
Yeah.
Talking to his girlfriend and his kids.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, making breakfast.
Taking his kids to the park, just doing regular stuff.
Yeah. And just kind of showing you that, like, okay, he's a blood member. He's been a blood member from the age of 12. He fought 7 guys to get into it and does all these dirty dealings. But behind the scenes, when he's at home, he's essentially every other person in the world.
Yeah. And not only that, but he seems like a decent guy, too. Like, he seems like a very nice person. He doesn't, beat his girlfriend, at least that we see in the movie. He doesn't do these horrible things. He's not mean to his kids. He seems to really love and care for his kids. And I think that's just another thing.
Yeah, he's not a deadbeat at all. I mean, he has, like, the majority of people in the world, and I wish more, is, his top priority is taking care of his family. Now, given his options, he took the best option that he has to take care of his family.
Yep.
And then he's starting to realize, like, maybe this isn't, the way that I'm going. It might not provide for my family in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he starts, moving outside of that, or trying to at least.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just beyond interesting. Just this insight, to get this glimpse into into the Bloods gang.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. Especially also because he's such a high-ranking member.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like one of the leaders, basically.
Essentially, yeah. And then you're kind of watching the guy and you're like, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mind hanging out with Primo.
Yeah, not at all.
I would have some beers with him.
He's certainly a guy that I would like to have in my corner, for sure.
Without a doubt. Yes.
So, yeah, I highly recommend this movie. Definitely.
And again, this is something that we're kind of talking about in Phoenix. To me, this is the film that
should be talked about.
This is the one that should be praised. This is something special. How many movies do you fucking have that are docudramas with a real-life member of the Bloods gang in the lead role? And not only is he in the lead role, but he's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Name another movie. Can you go, oh, it's like Vertigo? Can you do that with 5 Star? Can you be like, well, it's like that other movie with the Bloods? No.
This is definitely not,
this is one of a kind.
This is definitely not your typical gangland style drama. And it looks good too. I love indies that take place in New York City. I think that when you talk about movies that take place in like Iceland and stuff, where you're like, wow, no matter what, all you gotta do is like point a camera and it looks pretty good. That's kind of how I feel about New York indie New York movies, is because I think that they all pretty much look good if you're out on the streets, and if you do some dolly shots or something on the streets, it looks great to me.
I would agree. It's just the life.
Yeah,
that you get it. There's like an energy to it that you're always going to capture.
Yeah, and there's
no matter what.
There's so much going on. There's so much to see. There's so much activity, and everything looks so detailed, and that's one thing I love about movies that take place in this city. As far as like the look, it does kind of have a documentary vibe to it. Some scenes more than others. Some scenes feel more narrative based, but
the couple of the sequences like with the from the outset when he's in the car and everything, that seems really polished.
yeah,
But the stuff at home
yeah, it seems
like just documentary.
yeah, like the camera work looks slightly different, and like the framing and stuff feels more like a cinema verite style where they just were shooting, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it was or not, but some scenes feel more deliberate than others as far as framing and stuff, but it all fits. None of it feels out of place.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan. 2 thumbs up for me on this one.
Two of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're ranking it on thumbs.
on a thumb-based ranking system. Both of them. You're employing both thumbs.
Final thoughts on 5-star before we give out some ratings?
It's fantastic.
Yes.
This is the one that should be talked about. Okay? Can't stress this enough.
Yeah. Definitely go see it when it hits VOD. If you haven't seen it yet, August 4th again, it'll be on VOD. So check it out if you're in the New York area. It's playing now, so...
And I have one question. Do you think that the scene in which Primo knocks out that guy, it sounds like he just fucking hit him. Do you think he just punched that guy in the face?
When that scene happened, it was one of those where I go, ooh, like out loud, because it's the sound design on that. It sounded like he smacked that dude for real.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the impact sound of that fist hitting his face was just like, oh shit, he punched that guy in the face.
Yeah.
He just knocked that guy out.
Yeah, it sounded real as shit.
And it came out of nowhere, too, where they're just kind of like hugging and slapping hands and everything. And then just all of a sudden, bam, right in the face.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, you do not fuck with this guy.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I was going to give 5-star a 7. However, I gave Phoenix a 7, and I actually thought that this was better. So I'll say a 7.5 on 5-star.
I'm gonna say 7.5 because that's what I gave it on the thing, on the website there, on my review. But this is one that's inching closer to an 8. Gotta say, after some discussion with you.
Yeah.
I just want to watch this movie again.
And it's fairly short too. It comes in at under an hour and a half, so it's pretty brisk. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Just it looks great. I'm loving these docudrama style movies. I like that this is kind of, I don't know if we could call it a trend as of yet, but
it feels like
if it is a trend, I'm liking it a lot because it just looks good, it feels good, and there's a lot of really interesting stories coming out of it.
Well, it makes sense too. If you're gonna have a movie like 5-star, and it's most of the times you bring like a consultant on to make sure you get it truthful enough. And it's like, what the fuck? If you have a guy like Primo, just make him the guy.
There you go.
Just make him the main character.
Yeah. There you go. 5-star, absolutely. Check it out. This will probably land on my top 10 this year, so
I have a feeling it will for me too.
It'll definitely be near the top. I don't know if it'll hit the top 10 spot, but we shall see. I may have to rewatch it too. Rewatching it may nudge it.
Oh, get that nudge. That rewatch nudge.
Let's talk about some of what we've been watching. Now, I'm going to start it off this week. I'm going to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to talk about a TV show. Now, I started watching this TV show this week.
Wait, are we allowed to do this?
I'm doing it, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, shit.
It's a TV show, but the way that it is shot, it's very cinematic. So it's like a long movie, and that's the show that I'm talking about is Deutschland 83. Now this Deutschland 83. It airs on Sundance TV, but I believe that you can watch it on Hulu Plus.
Okay.
We're in the first season now. There's only 6 episodes out, I think. I've watched 5 of the 6 so far. and it takes place in Germany in 1983, as the title suggests, and it's about a young soldier from East Germany who is sent to West Germany as a spy, and it is such a great show. I've just been loving it. The pop culture references are definitely there. The soundtrack's fantastic in this. Great 80s soundtrack. But the interesting thing is, East Germany is the socialist side, the communist side, and West Germany is the more capitalist side. So when he goes over, it's kind of like a culture shock for him. He has to learn, before he goes over, during his training, he has to learn about all these major differences between the two sides. And like, for instance, they call them supermarkets over there. A lot of influences from America were in West Germany at the time. Like, they had Walkmans and stuff, and he got a Walkman. He never saw something like that before, so it was like amazing to him. And it's this great spy story. It feels like a Tinker Tailor style spy story, where not every episode is packed full of action and espionage, but it's like down and dirty, realistic spy stuff. And it's great. It's wildly entertaining. It looks fantastic. It's interesting to see the Cold War from Germany's perspective, because in all I love the Cold War. I think it's one of the most interesting topics for a TV show or a movie, because it's just crazy. The Cold War was insane. And
it is one of those things when you think back, it's like,
you have to look,
wow, that really happened.
like, you have to step back and look at the Cold War, and you're just like, whoa, it was nothing but fucking spies going over and crazy secret assassinations and plots and stuff. It's like it really happened, but there's probably so much of the Cold War that we don't even know,
Well, just the paranoia alone is insane.
And with this show, you see that paranoia from Germany's perspective, and not just Germany, but East and West, because they were kind of like, the reason he goes over there is because East Germany was concerned that West Germany was allying with the United States, and that they were going to launch missiles at Russia. And they were like, fuck, we're going to be screwed, because West Germany's siding with the Americans. They're going to launch nukes. So it's really interesting to see how all this played out from the German perspective. And I highly recommend it. Again, it's called Deutschland 83. And
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, it's definitely good. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu Plus.
Oh, boy.
You might be able to at least... I mean, if you catch the pilot, I think you'll be hooked. And it's a German language show. So I think this is probably the first TV show I've ever seen that was a German language TV show. But it's...
maybe I can throw out a TV show.
Go for it.
It's only 15 minutes long, the episodes. Lucas Brothers Moving Company.
Oh, okay.
That's also on Hulu. It's fucking hilarious. Check that out, Lucas Brothers.
I saw a couple episodes of that.
I love that fucking show. I just want more of it. I wish that, like, my dream day is just where I can sit down and watch Lucas Brothers Moving Company from morning till night and not have to do anything else with my life.
I got into Rick and Morty recently.
I'll probably get into that after I'm done with Lucas Brothers.
The second season just started for Rick and Morty, and I remember I watched the first episode like a long, long time ago when it first came out, and I was like, it's okay. But I'll tell you, you stick with it, and it will reward you thrice-fold.
I can get rewarded thrice-fold. It's the best way to be rewarded, actually.
It is. What do you got as far as movies?
As far as movies go, I finally got to, scratch one off the list here, and that's The French Connection.
Oh.
Gene Hackman.
Classic.
William Friedkin getting into this with Roy Schneider. How do you say his last name? Schneider? Mm-hmm. There's no N, though.
What? Really?
There's no N? Yeah.
I always thought it was Schneider. Maybe it's Scheider. I don't know.
Scheider. Roy Scheider. Fernando Rey. Um, Let me say, going in, expectations high. I've heard so much about the French Connection, and I thought this thing is going to be unbelievable. Action packed, chase sequences, I heard were amazing. Oh my goodness. Afterwards, uh, kind of disappointed.
It's one of those
So
movies.
throw that out there.
It's one of those movies where, by today's standards, it's nothing great, but it still gets mentioned, and it still needs to be mentioned because of the influence that it had.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some really good things going on here. The gritty feel to it. The There's a number of sequences because the majority of this movie is Hackman, Schneider, and who's the other guy? There's a FBI guy with them. It's helping him out. Moldrig, played by Bill Hickman, where they're just kind of tailing these guys. They're just watching them. So I mean, the majority of the movie is just these guys walking through the streets in New York, tailing people, just keeping an eye on them, watching where they go, what they're doing, who they're meeting. And there's a extended sequence where we're watching the three of them, tailing several different guys. And the way that the camera kind of, it's across the street and it's focused on Hackman, and then it'll come over to the other guy, and then the focus will change to the foreground, which will be the other guy. It's all this shifting around, and how it's choreographed is fantastic. But outside of that, it's kind of, there's not much going on here. It's pretty straightforward as, the drug ring that they're trying to bust. And I mean, they kind of touch on it towards the end where Hackman's kind of obsessed, and he's almost playing, it's much like the character that he plays in The Conversation, where he's like highly, highly obsessive, which apparently that was Hackman's thing back then because, man, he nails it. And he just, like, right at the end, you see him just, he loses everything else in the peripheral, and he's only focused on one thing, and it essentially brings their downfall. But, I mean, it's got that, and again, this is another thing that with the 70s and everything, the tomato soup blood that you always see, the bright red,
Yeah,
like paint.
Mario Bava style.
Yeah, I want someone to there needs to be a documentary about that, just that alone. Like the blood that you see in these movies and like De Palma movies
Yeah.
and Bava movies, like
They didn't have the formula right back then.
I don't know if it's that or if it's like I'm starting to wonder if like they weren't allowed to make
That's
it.
entirely possible that the censors made them make it brighter.
It has to look cartoonish
Yeah.
and not real.
I could definitely believe that. I'm pretty certain that was a factor for certain movies.
But it's one of those. You see that, and then
Pulls you out of it.
nowadays you don't get quite the reaction. I mean, this movie starts off with a guy like tailing someone, and he's walking around, and then he comes home, gets his mail, bam, shot in the face, and it's just red paint everywhere, and it's just like
Paintball blast.
yeah, and you're like, wow, that guy got shot in the face from point blank range, but at the same time, that was bright red paint. So it didn't quite have the impact that I think that they were going for. Well, and there's another sequence where a guy is trying to kill Hackman, and he's a sniper on the rooftop, and it's quite possibly the worst sniper you ever seen in a movie because he's fucking terrible, and he misses everything.
Nice.
Just makes it kind of laughable.
French Connection. Have you?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
I still say that it's worth seeing. It's a fun action
Yeah.
action movie, and I thought the car chases in it were solid.
The where Hackman chases the train, that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
It ran on a bit too long, but I mean it was pretty fantastic because again I don't know if back then they just didn't let people know like, hey, we're filming a car chase, or if they were just like, fuck it, they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. Hackman's hitting the horn. They'll know what to do because it just seems terrifying the entire time. Like no one has any idea that this is a movie.
Oh, there you have it. I saw a whole lot of stuff this week, so I'm gonna probably not talk about everything. I saw like 12 movies this week. I've been hitting it hard.
Oh shit!
Been hitting it hard. One that I want to talk about that I'm guessing we'll talk about this again later because you may be interested in this one. It's called Prince by Sam DeHong, and it's a shit. I forget what country this takes place in. The Netherlands, I think. It's sort of it's this very stylish coming of age story about this kid who kind of wants to be the king of the block. He wants to be tough, and he wants to be popular, and he wants to have money. So he does everything he can to try to get it, but nothing really works out, and then eventually he starts working for this psychotic drug dealer that lives in their neighborhood, and he gets some shoes and he gets some money, but it doesn't really work out for him in the end. And I've seen a lot of comparisons, and I haven't written my review for this yet, and I'm sure that I'll write about it too. A lot of comparisons to Nicholas Winding Refn. A lot of this movie is very neon colored and lots of slow-mo, very, very, very super stylized visuals, but I liked it. I ate it up. I completely understand that some people are not going to buy it and they're not going to be into it, but it's like it was like a kid's version of Drive or Only God Forgives.
Okay. All right.
And it's quite good. It's got a great soundtrack. There's some again, the visuals, the cinematography in this movie, spot on. It's great, and for that, it's worth checking out. It's pretty good. Vice is putting it out.
Oh, okay.
It's called Prince, and it comes out in theaters August 14th. So keep a lookout for it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That kid getting out them suicide doors.
Yeah, that's yeah, and he's got the black eye and the crown.
Yeah,
it's pretty ridiculous. There's some weird stuff in this movie too. Some surprisingly weird things happen, and you're just like, what? But it's still worth checking out. I'm sure. Again, we'll talk about it later, probably. So
we'll get into it. I got around to X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Oh boy, did you see the Rogue cut?
No, what's the Rogue cut?
It's the one that came out on Blu-ray. It's like 24 minutes longer.
Jesus Christ, it's already the longest could be.
Well, maybe you saw the Rogue cut.
Maybe. He's fucking bloated as can be.
Was Rogue in it?
Like right at the end. She just kind of looked back and was like, hey.
Was there okay, so there you didn't see an entire scene where they go rescue her?
No.
Okay, so
that didn't happen.
You just saw the regular one then?
I just saw the regular one. I guess I don't know what that cut's called. Theatrical?
Yeah.
Want to call it theatrical?
Yeah.
Sure. X-Men, Days of Future Past. Oh boy. What the fuck? This I did not enjoy.
I loved it.
I did not enjoy this at all. There was a couple of things, two things that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Quicksilver?
Number one, Quicksilver. Jesus Christ, that was amazing. That's so much fun. Oh my goodness, I love any time that they kind of step back and they have fun with these superhero movies because let's be honest, that's what they're supposed to be.
Right.
They're not always supposed to be fucking dark as can be and Jesus Christ, we're gonna kill ourselves and the world's a terrible place and we're all going to die. It was fun to just have Quicksilver be there and just do his thing. That was so much fun. I enjoyed it immensely. But then he's gone, and then you still have like 8 hours of movie left because this thing is like 37 hours long.
It's long.
And I mean, okay, the second thing that I enjoyed is Magneto picks up a fucking ballpark.
Yeah.
So you get to see that. And anytime Magneto does his metal tricks, just make that an X-Men movie. It's just Magneto doing metal tricks for like 2 hours. It's easily an 8 out of 10 for me. I just want to see him do more of his thing. But now they have like with the Wolverine going back in time and he's trying to say great things to Xavier to, buck up, buddy. All that shit. And then Xavier goes back in time through, no, forward in time through Wolverine's mind and talks to himself.
Yeah.
And of course says like cliched shit to him. And then of course he remembers it like 10 minutes later and he puts it out like he's never heard it before. And it's just awful. It's just so terrible. It's so ridiculous and just so cheesy. I just found it all so cheesy. And especially at the end after they do everything that saves the world and Wolverine wakes up and they're at the school and just just cut all that out. That was ridiculous.
The end I think the end was kind of I think a lot of this movie is fan service, but
A good bit. But the thing that really surprised me is, this is PG-13, right? And
a lot of people die.
And they die terribly.
Yeah.
Like, the Sentinels in the future are terrifying. Especially, like, I thought that they were badass, okay? And I was like, Jesus Christ, these things are ridiculous. And then, of course, they go on and do the Mega Man thing where they can adapt.
Take the powers,
Yeah, take the powers. And it's just like, holy shit, this takes it to another level. Not sure why they didn't just start off with that, because everything... they won easily as soon as they started doing that. But then, after that, their faces open up, and they just shoot like a lava beam and just annihilates everything. And you're like, well, fuck, just start with the lava beam. What are you doing? You're wasting all this time, Sentinels. But they tear a guy's head off and it's frozen, and they crush it. They lava beam a guy until he explodes. I mean, the lava beam's coming out and they just slowly put a girl's face into it and just melt her face off. I mean, Jesus Christ. This is some serious shit going on here. And then they're just like, PG-13. Because they're mutants. Which is interesting because it takes the whole mutants as minority things to a whole nother level where it's like, they're just mutants. Who gives a shit?
Well,
we're exploding them and melting their faces off. Who cares?
There was no blood. So I think that
exactly.
I think that helped things. And the scene when they rip off Iceman's head and crush it, it's just solid ice. Even though we know that that's like actually his head, in the movie it's a block of ice. So that makes it okay as well.
Yeah, but I can't see it as anything besides a guy's head.
No, I couldn't either when I saw it.
And Blink's power was pretty bad.
Yeah, what they did with her.
Cool.
Yeah, what they did with her was really cool.
But and they rip Colossus in half.
Yeah, they did.
And just
That's right.
throw him to the ground like he's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, they do rip him in half. I forgot about that.
There's some serious shit going on in here.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, certainly there are issues to be had with it. Like, I mean, the ballpark thing was cool, but was it necessary? Did he have to do that? Why did he do that?
It was. But just to see it, just the way that he, like, just plops down. And he's like, hey, what's up? He's like, I'm going to take this ballpark real quick. And he just floats around with it.
I liked it because I'm a huge fan of the X-Men from way back, and the movies haven't been good for a long time. So when Bryan Singer comes back and he's like, I'm going to make this movie, and it's going to have freaking every X-person you can think of in it. I thought that it worked tremendously for just how many characters were in it and the scope of that movie. I mean, you're dealing with time travel. Some of it takes place in the future. Some of it takes place in the 70s. And then you have, like, Nixon, and you have to mix in the different timelines, and this changes that. And it's really complicated.
Well, that is the other thing that kind of I found, like, slightly unsettling, where they're like, he killed JFK. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a real guy that got shot and died, and his family's still alive. Like, let's not do that. And then they're like, oh, he was also a mutant. I'm like, Jesus, you can't just, willy-nilly change him what happened to JFK and who he was. Like, let's have some respect here. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, Marvel's done that before in their movies.
There's no need to drag JFK into this.
Well, actually, DC's done it before too, because in Watchmen, the the comedian kills JFK in that story. But yeah, I still recommend it. After watching the Rogue Cut, I think I like the Rogue Cut more, even though it's a lot longer.
Now I'm wondering if I should check out the Rogue Cut.
No, I don't think you.
I do like Rogue.
I don't think you need to. It's got there is a significantly more added to it, but it doesn't change the story very much or anything. It basically just adds Rogue in, and
Gotcha.
There's some additional storyline stuff with her.
Okay.
So it's it kind of makes the story feel more cohesive.
Now, a quick question, because I know that we're both big X-Men fans, and I can't remember. What are your thoughts on Cyclops?
Well, I never liked him.
I fucking hate him.
I forget who's playing him in the new one. Ty Sheridan is playing him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the new one.
Because when he shows up at the end of this
and
one,
he was such a prick.
Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, fuck you. You, Cyclops.
He's a character you're meant to hate, though.
I know.
He's supposed to be kind of a prick, but that's X-Men.
I wish he would have got his face melted. That would have been amazing.
I think he did get killed in the third one, maybe. I think he did get killed in the third one. It's been a long time, and that movie's terrible. So that's Days of Future Past, out now on various platforms and Blu-ray and all that stuff.
And Rogue Cuts.
I would say check out the Rogue Cut if you have your choice with it, because it's worth a look. I saw one that I hated.
All right.
I'll pick one that I hated since you hated Future Past, and that's the new Eli Roth film, Knock Knock. Now I saw a press screening for this. I am not aware of any embargo, so I'm going to talk about it now. Now I'm going to wait to post my full review on it until it comes out. It doesn't come out till October, so this is just my preliminary thoughts on Knock Knock. It stars Keanu Reeves. I'm not sure do you know anything about this one? So basically, it's funny games, but with a gender swap. So the two home invaders, are girls, and they. Keanu Reeves is loving husband, father, and his wife and their kid they go away for the weekend, and these two girls end up at his house. It's storming one night, raining real hard. They end up at his house. They say, hey, can we use your phone? Our cell phones got wet. He lets them in, dries out their phones, dries their clothes, and they start like hitting on him majorly. And he's like, no. He's shooting them down, not reciprocating their advances, but eventually they are they're like borderline raping him. They're molesting him at this point. And eventually he gives in, and they sleep together, and the next day they're still there, and he's like, you gotta leave, and then they proceed to kind of terrorize him. And I hated it. I thought that it was probably one of the worst movies I've seen this year. It is Keanu Reeves at his worst. I mean, he's basically Nicolas Cage in this movie. The character is insane. There is at least one, but maybe even more than one, not the bees type moment in this. The screening that I saw it in, people were laughing, and it clearly was not meant to be funny.
Oh boy.
It is unbelievable, this movie. So if you want to see some really bad horror, check this out. It's called Knock Knock. Comes out on VOD and in theaters in October, and it is hysterically horrible.
Wow.
I like Keanu Reeves. I like the dude. I would never claim that he's a good actor, but in this movie, it's like a whole other level of terrible. And then, and as I was watching,
there's a part of me that's like, I want to see that.
When it comes out in October, yeah, we can review it on the show. We'll watch it.
I want to see him be terrible.
It's laughably bad. But as I was watching this movie, I thought to myself, Eli Roth is one of the biggest names in genre cinema. He's huge. He's famous. At this point, he's like a household name to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, even people that don't claim to be cinephiles and are super into movies, a lot of people know who Eli Roth is. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, but he makes movies like Knock Knock. How do we know who he is? Like, why? How do we know Eli Roth, but we don't know like Ty West or Adam Weingart?
Because he made that one. He made, what was it? Hostel? Is that the one that kickstarted?
Cabin Fever was the first one, but I think it was Hostel that really knocked him.
And then more than likely him being in, Tarantino.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, him
grabbing hold of him, throwing him in things.
I guess that's what it is.
Being like, oh my god, Tarantino likes him.
No, for the record, I like Eli Roth. I just,
I mean, you go down through his movie list, and you're like, why is he so big?
Now, one thing I will say also about this movie is that Nicholas Lopez is, I believe, a co-writer on it with Eli Roth, and I think that he has some pretty heavy influence in this movie, and because I guess he's been collaborating with that dude for a while now, because they did Aftershock, which was really bad, and I don't know, maybe it's that brought this movie down, but there were parts of this where I was just like, what is going on here? I didn't even know what country they were in at first. I was like, why do half of the people in this movie speak Spanish? I don't understand. It is it's a bizarre little film, but yes, it's exactly like Funny Games, only it's a gender swap, and maybe he was trying to say something with that, but whatever it was, it failed because it was so bad. Knock knock.
Oh god, I didn't see anything else, so if you're waiting for me,
okay. I'll go through a couple other ones. Fort Tilden, it's a low-budget indie comedy that's coming out in a couple weeks. I'm pretty sure that, I'm assuming, were you interested in this one?
I was interested in this one.
So I'll hold off my comments on that until we talk about it on the show, because I think it comes out fairly soon. So we'll get into it there. We've seen a lot of movies like Fort Tilden recently, and this is it's better than, what was that one that we saw earlier this year? It was like Apartment Troubles.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Fort Tilden's better than that. However, a lot of people are hating on this movie, and I don't want to get into why, because I'm sure that's going to be a conversation that we'll have. But a lot of people are really hating on this movie, and but I can see why. However, for me, it didn't bother me. I actually kind of liked it the way that, basically, it's because the two leads in it are so horrible. They're just horrible human beings, and you hate them from the beginning.
Gotcha.
And I think that's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. But for me, I was able to deal with it. So, that comes out in a few weeks. We'll talk about it more later. I saw The Gate from 1987. This is one that I always wanted to see, but just never got around to. I like these horror movies that are kind of like, they star kids, and they're kind of about kids, but they're clearly not for kids at all. And this one, oh my god, it was fantastic. It stars Stephen Dorff as a young child version of Stephen Dorff. And him and his friend are digging in his backyard, and they find a geode. And they crack open this geode, and it releases a demon into their home, and the demon starts terrorizing them, and his older sister's having a slumber party, and it terrorizes everybody. And his friend, they see this. Do you remember those tablets that you used to write on, and then you'd lift up the plastic thing, and it would disappear, and then you could write on them again?
Yep.
They have one of those, and there's these like satanic symbols that somehow appear on this tablet, and his friend sees it, And he's like, I've seen these before. And he goes home and he pulls out his records. And he has a record that his dad brought back with him from Europe and gave to him that is a heavy metal band that in the insert in the vinyl has all this like satanic imagery and all these satanic chants and stuff. And I'm like, what kind of father brings that back for your kid? So anyway, when he puts this record on and they play it backwards, it contains the information on how to get rid of the demons. And
it came out of the geode.
Yeah, that came out of a geode. It is the most 80s movie I've seen in a long time.
What is this called again?
The Gate.
This sounds amazing.
It's directed by Tibor Tekis, who also directed I, Madman, which I saw this week. I don't have a lot to say about that. That was a big disappointment. I was excited for that because it just got the Scream Factory release, and I never saw it before, and I was pretty into the idea, but it felt like kind of just a kind of a slightly boring episode of Tales from the Crypt. So that's The Gate. The Gate I do highly recommend seeing. I saw a number of documentaries, including The Search for General Tso.
You damn right you did.
That was actually pretty good. I mean, it was well made. It looked good. It had cool animations in it and stuff. And it didn't just talk about the chicken and where the chicken came from. It
Oh, thank God, because wouldn't that be like a 25-minute long film?
Well, it depends on how long it took them to figure out where it came from. If they,
but you don't have
if they like looked it up on Wikipedia or something, then no.
It's like 3 minutes long. It's just like
I would love to see it. In this film, we aim to take a look and figure out where General Tso's chicken came from. Let's start by looking online. Oh, here it is.
It's just an over-shoulder shot of a guy on the computer. He just turns around. I found it.
Dan, I found it. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Hold up. Let me pull in. Title on your face. Now tell me. I had General Tso's last night.
Was it good?
It was fucking unbelievable.
It always is. So they kind of they do look at the origins and try to figure out where it came from, who invented the dish. They talked about General Tso, the person, and they also talk a lot about American Chinese food and how a lot of times when you go to a Chinese restaurant, it's always the same stuff on the menus and everything kind of looks the same. And they kind of get into how that came to be and why that is the way it is and stuff like that. So it's actually quite interesting. I mean, if you like Chinese food, American-style Chinese food, then it's an entertaining watch. It's on Netflix Instant. You don't have to pay for it or anything. So, you know, I recommend it. And the thing that I kept thinking about while I was watching this that sometimes bothers me is when you go to a Chinese restaurant or something and you're eating your General Tso's or your sweet and sour chicken or your beef and broccoli, and you know somebody that you're eating with just goes, that's not real Chinese food, right?
Yeah.
That bothers me to no end. And it's like somehow because it wasn't derived from China, it makes it less of a food. Like, that's not from China, right? You fucking dick.
Which at the same time you're just like, I don't fucking care.
Who cares?
I'm putting it in my mouth and it tastes unbelievable. I don't care where it's from.
It doesn't make it less of a food,
It could be fucking Peruvian. I don't give a shit. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. So, search for General Tso. Yeah, recommend, I would say. One that the last one that I'll talk about really briefly is another documentary called An Honest Liar. This is on Netflix also, and it's about the magician. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Incredible Randy, or the Amazing Randy. Sorry. And the documentary looks at his life, his background, all that stuff, where he came from, and it talks about how he's kind of on a quest. He's in his 80s at this point, but he's on a quest to kind of debunk psychics and mystics and all of these people that try to kind of hawk their spiritual, snake oil, basically. Mm-hmm. He goes after faith healers. He goes after not herbal, holistic medicines and stuff like that. And it's a fairly straightforward documentary about his life and the different cons that he would do. And he did some amazing stuff. Like, the hoaxes that he would perpetrate were incredible. He fooled so many people in order to expose the truth. And it's a fascinating story. And the guy is really fascinating. But the reason that I'm talking about it is because the film takes a turn towards the latter portion. And it's one of those deals where something happens in the documentary that they didn't expect that kind of changes the whole dynamic of the film. Okay. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's pretty interesting. And for that reason alone, I recommend checking this out. But other than that, it's fairly straightforward. I noticed that a few years ago, many years ago actually, there was another documentary that came out that was actually created by the amazing Randy, and a lot of the footage from that original documentary was in this documentary. And afterwards, it made me think to myself, these guys are being kind of lazy, including that stuff. But whatever, it's still worth seeing. Quite a good documentary, and that twist ending, whoo, you don't see that coming.
I'm gonna have to get in on some of that action.
Yeah, like I said, it's on Netflix Instant, so you can just pop it on and relax on a nice Sunday evening and watch. What's it called? An Honest Liar. All right, let's talk about some predictions. Pixels. You said 32. I said 46. Actual 19.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
I love when we're wrong.
Sometimes I wonder if it's just people that blindly hate Adam Sandler. Because my girlfriend saw this, and she said it was not a good movie, like, on a critical level, but it was just a fun movie. There wasn't a lot to it. It was just kind of a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Paper Towns, what did you say on that? You said 60, I said 64, actual 58. So, you got that one.
Yeah.
And Southpaw, you said 56, I said 62, actual 57. So that's another win for you. Wow. You got all three of those this week.
What can I say? What can I say?
You're just freaking Nostradamus when it comes to...
I mean, I have a gift.
Next week, Vacation. Now, can you accurately predict Vacation? Because that's going to be a little bit tougher to figure out than a Happy Madison movie.
Yeah, maybe for mortals. But let me drop it on you real quick. I'm going to say 62. Lock it in.
I got to say,
exactly what it's going to be.
They came out with one final Red Band trailer for that this week, and there's one part that just makes me laugh every time I see it. It looks like the youngest son, he's like some kind of psychopath, and the guy, they're talking about horse riding, and the older brother's like, I can't wait to get out there and ride horses, and then the young kid's like, is there going to be shooting? And they're like, no, there's not going to be any shooting. He's like, that's a shame, because I'd shoot you right off that fucking horse. It's so funny. That's why I want to see that movie for the young son that is clearly a psychopath. All right, Vacation. I'm gonna say I really hope it's good. I'll say 65 on that. I really want that one to be good, because I just rewatched National Lampoon's Vacation yesterday, and it's amazing. It holds up amazingly. All right, We also have Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now, there have been early reviews for this one starting to come out, and people are saying that it's quite good, so I'm going to say 87 on that one.
You're going 87. I'm gonna go 84.
All right. In limited release next week, we have 6 Ways to Die, Two Step, The End of the Tour, The Lego Brickumentary, and Best of Enemies. Not a whole lot as far as limited release stuff. I actually will probably watch that Lego documentary, but...
Of course you will.
I like Lego, and I'm interested in the history behind Lego. All right?
I'm just kind of bummed out that you watched the General Tso's documentary. Like, I have nothing now to keep thrown in your face. I gotta find a new documentary. You haven't seen that chicken wing documentary, did you? You see that chicken wing one?
Yeah, I saw that a while ago.
Damn it. I gotta find a ridiculous documentary.
It was called The Great Chicken Wing Hunt or something like that.
You're gonna know about all the foods. You're gonna know everything that there is to know about cuisine.
Yeah, well, crappy cuisine apparently. Or crappy for you, rather. All right, on VOD next week we have That Sugar Film. There's one. It's a documentary about sugar.
There it is. That's you.
That one.
So
yeah.
what are you gonna watch that sugar film this week?
No.
Fucking loser.
No, I will not be watching that. A Lego Brickumentary and Extinction, which is a horror movie. That's it for VOD stuff. At least that's all I have here. So, not a whole lot, but you know, Mission Impossible. That's definitely worth checking out, I'd say. Next week on Blu-ray, got a couple things here. New Justice League animated movie called Gods and Monsters. Doesn't look very good to me. I saw a trailer for it. I'm not interested. It's like versions of the Justice League, but they're like different gods. And it looks, I don't know. I'm not into that. We have Home. We have Burying the X, which I don't recommend. I did not like that one. The Water Diviner, which looks... Oh boy,
man,
that one. Yeesh.
That one.
Not...
I forgot about that movie.
The Water Diviner.
Was that Russell Crowe's... Was that his debut? Is that like his...
You'd think so, but no.
It's not?
The Water Diviner.
That is his debut. Directing debut.
Oh, directing debut. I thought you were talking about acting. It's like, what? Oh, anyway. Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. Did you notice how I got tired halfway through that one? I had to take a break halfway through listing that title.
Jesus.
White God. I recommend that one.
Can you even tweet that title?
I don't think it's enough. Well, you can like tweet the title and that's it. Like all you can do is just say the title in a tweet.
Oh my.
White God. I recommend that one. Check that one out, and that's pretty much it. Any other ones that you wanted to mention? I know there aren't any criterions.
I don't know. I have nothing. Sorry. That's it.
Ghost Town from 1988.
Ooh.
Getting a Blu-ray release. I might check that out. Shout Factory's putting that out.
Shout Factory, all about it.
I'm guessing that's Scream Factory's putting it out. But it says Shout Factory on the list here. But anyway. Alright, I think that is going to wrap it up for the week. Remember to send us your questions, podcastfilmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter, @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And please take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. And consider subscribing for as little as $1 per month. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.